What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and these are my NBA DFS confivers. It's a 2-game slate. I can't give you 10. That's like a third of my player pool. It would be ridiculous. There's no credibility in that. NBA DFS confivers. That's what we're going with for Tuesday, August 25th. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. You can see 7, 8, 9, and 10, Montrezl Harrell, Michael Porter, Seth Curry, Maxi Kleber, Tim Hardaway is on the outside looking in of being one of my confivers. Who will be the top 5 plays for today? It's time to find out. Coming in number 3 on FanDuel, by the way, Monte Morris. I'm going to assume that he continues to get decent run. I put him in for 27 minutes for today, hoping that he continues to start. He's a 0.72 fantasy point per minute guy so far in the bubble. Nothing too crazy. It's pretty much exactly what you expect from him. It's a bit of a pace down spot for Denver, but we don't really have many choices to pay down in salary. Most people are going to be looking for at least one of Kawhi or Luka Doncic. Getting to both of those guys is going to be a pretty difficult exercise, but even if you wanted to do that, Monte Morris is a guy you're going to need. 4K on both sites. I mean, you're talking about needing like 26 fantasy points from him. I think that's more than feasible in 27 minutes of action, and he could certainly play more if things are going well. I'm going to Monte Morris as long as he is starting for Denver tonight. I mentioned paying up for Luka and or Kawhi. The guy that I'm paying up for, though, is Kawhi Leonard. He is number 4. Number 4 on FanDuel, number 4 on DK. The number 1 SuperDraft play of the day at a 1.25x multiplier. That just doesn't make any sense to me. He's Kawhi Leonard. He does a little bit of everything on the floor. We're talking 32 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, couple steals, maybe even a block. Raw points are going to rule the roost. And you're certainly going to need to win the battle between Kawhi and Luka, given their price tags. My expectation is that I want to go to Kawhi. I feel like he's a little safer. I don't think that they have appreciably different ceilings, other than the fact that Luka Doncic will simply just continue to shoot. Kawhi doesn't really have that in him, at least not in this series. The floor just feels higher. I'm still a little nervous about Luka's ankle, regardless of how he played 2 days ago. For right now, Kawhi Leonard is the guy that I'm looking for if I'm paying up, and I'm probably paying up. Next up at number 3, in particular, the number 1 play for me on DraftKings, it's Ivica Zubac. This one probably seems weird, but on a 2-game slate, we need efficiency. I'm expecting Zubac to play somewhere in that 20 to 22 minute range. He's productive in that time, and I can't afford to not be productive in the minutes that I'm given. So we're talking about a guy that's a 1.17 guy over his last 30 days. I have him projected at 1.06, but either way, we're talking about north of a fantasy point per minute. At 4,300, I think that's more than acceptable on a slate like today. I'm projecting him for 23 fantasy points. I don't need him to go too crazy in order to be satisfied with his outcome. 28 points will make me say I'm glad I had him. Anything north of that, even better. He's not a guy that you're typically going to be looking at, especially given he's not likely to be a closing player for the Clippers, but I don't think it matters. He's productive enough on a per minute basis that I think Zubac is the key to everything for me on DK. Everything is subject to change, clearly. But for right now, I expect Zubac to be one of, if not my most exposed players today. And then we get to number 2, which I'm sure people are screaming at their screens right now. That would be Paul George. He's 7,500 on FanDuel. He is 8,200 on DraftKings, a 1.4x multiplier on SuperDraft. This dude is shooting so poorly in this series, it's insane. I don't have it all, I know that I should have this, but I remember seeing his effective field goal percentage on a separate site for the series, and I believe it's like 37 or 38. Just truly embarrassing. But I can't project him like that, and no projection system worth their salt would ever be projecting Paul George based on just this series. You have to project him at least mildly close to his normal rates. And if you do that, he becomes a fantastic value, particularly on FanDuel at 7,500. That's just a price that he shouldn't be. Even if he's bad, he's going to play like 36 plus minutes. You can't turn your back on that sort of time. He's even been a 1.07 fantasy point per minute guy over the last 30 days. It's bad for Paul George, but it's not necessarily bad as a whole. I'm going to Paul George again. I assume his ownership is high as well. That's the only thing that could bring me down from him in a GPP. But from a raw points perspective, from a cash game perspective, I assume Paul George is going to be essential today. And finally, coming in at number 1, we're going to Jingles, Joe Ingles. Number 1 on FanDuel as a small forward at 4,900. I think there are only 4 legitimate options at small forward today. So everybody's sort of awesome there. But Jingles is my number 1. And he's my number 2 overall guy on DraftKings. Guard forward eligibility. Massive for lineup construction on a day like today. But he's only 5,100. He's going to play mid-30s or more in minutes. This game is a closeout game potentially for Utah. God, I hope this game, it really is 3-1. It is 3-1, right? I don't have time to look it up. 11 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. The pace is the problem. And Jingles isn't a guy that plays a ton of minutes. He's sort of the inverse of Zubac in this spot. Not a great point per minute guy, but plays so many minutes that he's also worth the risk. You kind of get both ends of the spectrum in this top 5 today. I'm looking for like 30 plus. That's not all that out of like range for Joe Ingles. Especially if he can grab a steal or two, he can get you there even quicker. I'm hoping the shooting stroke is there today. We're, again, 31 fantasy points on FanDuel, 33 on DK, 1.75x multiplier on SuperDraft is solid. Puts him 11th, so he's definitely near the top for me. But for now, Joe Ingles is the linchpin to everything on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Well, guys, there you have it. Those are my NBA DFS confivers for Tuesday, August 25th. Once again, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and everything else goes live. Slightly better slate tomorrow, I guess. But we're getting to the end of the legs of these NBA videos, making that transition over to baseball. Got to come up with a new name. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll get there. Thank you for joining me. Best of luck tonight. I'll see you guys again in the morning.